Hi guys, welcome to Brass Bootcamp. This is the second video in my rhythm series, and this is probably going to be one of the most important videos that you're going to watch in regards to improving your rhythm and helping you with your sight reading and your ensemble playing. So today we're going to be covering how to count rhythms in simple time signatures. What I mean by that is a simple time signature is basically, for the purposes of this video, anything with a 4 at the bottom. So it could be 2-4, 3-4, 4-4, 10-4, it doesn't really matter. For the start of this video, everything I'm going to be talking about is about 4-4 time signatures, which when you're starting off playing your instrument, that's the most common time signature you're going to come across. And also when you see the C at the start of a piece of music as your time signature, which stands for common time, that's all going to be about 4-4 time signatures as well. So let's get started. If you've not seen my metronome video, which is the first video in the rhythm series, that's going to be super important. Go and watch that video. It makes playing with the metronome much more easy and much more fun, adding a simple drum pattern rather than just having a metronome clicking at you. For the purposes of today's video, I'm going to be just using a metronome clicking, just because I think it's easier for me to talk over a metronome clicking than it is for a drum beat instead. So we're going to start with crotchet notes. As you all know, in simple time signatures, these all last for one beat. So it doesn't matter whether you're counting in 4-4 or 3-4 or 5-4. If you've got your metronome clicking like this, then every crotchet lands on one of these beats. Ta, 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 ta. And it doesn't matter whether you're in 2-4, 1, 2, 1, 2, or 5-4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every single number that you're counting, a crotchet lands on every single one of those numbers. One of the main things I'm hoping to get across in this video, how long the note actually lasts for and its actual note duration, whether it's 1 beat or 2 beats or 3 beats or half a beat, that doesn't necessarily matter. The thing that I'm trying to get across in this video is where it lands in the bar and where it fits with the metronome clicks and where it fits in with your conductor's beat pattern. Let's talk about that quickly. So we're going to start in 4-4 like I said before, and you're basically going to be counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 over and over again. And when you've got crotchet notes in 4-4, every single one lands on the beat. So when you've got your conductor's beat pattern, beat 1 is always down, 2 is always in towards the body, 3 is always out, and 4 is always up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And also, the role of the conductor is basically being a sort of human metronome for the most part. So instead of having a click, the conductor is doing a silent click and move, and he should be moving their arms nice and rhythmically. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I was going to play crotchets to that pulse, it would sound like this. So every single one of my notes lands exactly on one of the beats, and it doesn't matter what speed the piece is. If it's really slow, exactly the same thing applies. All of my notes land exactly on one of the metronome clicks, and they land exactly on the conductor's beat when they're playing. So if I was going to go really slow, so notice everything's landing on the beats. That's the most important thing. The next stage, if you go really fast, exactly the same thing applies. So and if you're playing a piece that changes speed, the same thing happens again. So every one of my crotchet notes always lands on one of the conductor's beats or on one of the metronome clicks if you're playing with the metronome. That way, the duration of how long it lasts doesn't really matter, especially when you're changing the speed of the piece of music. If I was starting a phrase nice and slowly and I want it to get slightly faster and then slightly slower, as long as your crotchets always land on the conductor's beat, it doesn't matter how much freedom and space the music has within its pulse, it's still the same rules apply. So if I was going to play a piece that started off 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I played all crotchet notes. They were all different lengths because the music was slowing down and speeding up, but every single one of my notes landed on one of the conductor's beats and landed on one of the metronome clicks. So I hope that makes sense, and it's not necessarily about how many beats the note's worth, it's about where it fits in the bar and where it fits with the conductor's beat. That way, if you're playing a piece that's strictly in time, it's nice and easy. But if you're adding nice rubato and musical phrasing into the piece, then the note lengths change according to the conductor's beat, but the duration of one beat doesn't change at all. I hope that makes sense. If you've got any questions, whack them in the comments and I'm quite happy to answer them. And also, if you want to subscribe to the channel, videos are posted on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'll be covering a lot of overall musical things on the Tuesdays videos, and on the Thursdays videos, I'll be going into more detail covering exam repertoire for the Trinity College London exam syllabus. So click subscribe, and I hope you're enjoying the videos on the channel. So now we've got that concept out of the way, it's not necessarily about how long the notes last for, it's about where they fit in the bar and how they fit with the conductor's beat. We're going to move on to some really easy rhythms now. So we're going to talk about minims, dotted minims, and semi-breves. So minims last for 2 beats or for 2 clicks. Dotted minims last for 3 beats or 3 clicks, and semi-breves last for 4 clicks or 4 beats. So what you're thinking here, you've got to be counting. We're going to start with minims, so we're going to stick with 4/4 as well. So when you're thinking about a minim, you play on beat number 1, you hold through beat number 2, then you articulate again on beat number 3. So basically, with the beat pattern, you're saying the letter T to articulate, so you're going T on beat number 1 and then beat number 3. And your breathing and your airflow is staying exactly the same all the way through, as though you were just playing one long note, but you're just re-articulating on beat number 1 and beat number 3. So if I'm playing in 4/4 again, it's going to go. So I didn't do it with any clicks that time, but you heard and saw that on the downbeat, which is number 1, I said that I articulated, and then on the outbeat, which is number 3, I also articulated. So the simplest version of minims, articulate on beats number 1 and number 3. If your minim starts on a different number of beat in the bar, then you hold it for 2 beats and then you articulate on the next beat. So that's nice and simple. So if you had a minim that started on beat number 2, you'd articulate on beat number 2, hold through number 3, and then the next note would happen on beat number 4. So dotted minims, we'll come back to those in a second when I'm talking about different time signatures. So the next rhythm I'm going to talk about in 4/4 is the semi-breve, which lasts for 4 beats. This one's really simple. If it starts on beat number 1, you articulate on beat number 1, you hold it through 4 beats, and then you re-articulate on beat number 1 again. So that should sound like this. So every one of my downbeats was nicely articulated to start my semi-breve. Another thing I'm just going to add when talking about semi-breves is where to breathe, because a lot of people, when you're thinking about how many beats a note lasts for, it doesn't necessarily take into account your breathing, because if you hold a semi-breve on for 4 beats and then need to breathe, your next note is going to be slightly late or out of time. So if you're playing lots and lots of semi-breves straight after each other, lots of 4-beat notes straight after each other, then you're going to inevitably need to breathe somewhere. So if you know your next note starts on number 1 or on the downbeat, then if you breathe beforehand and you cut the note slightly short to breathe, then your next note will start nicely on the first beat of the bar. So if I play some semi-breves again and I'll take a breath, when I come in after my breath, it's going to start exactly on the downbeat again. So that way you're not going to add any extra time into the bars and you're guaranteed to play perfectly in time. Again, it's not necessarily about how long the notes last for, it's where the next note starts in the bar that's the important part. So now moving on to dotted minims. These happen in 4/4 all the time. They're generally followed by a crotchet, so you're going to be going 1, 2, 3, ta, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you play on beat number 3, the next beat happens on beat number 4, but that's going to be a crotchet 1-beat note. So I'm going to be playing the rhythm a dotted minim for 3 beats and then a crotchet for 1 beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So dotted minims followed by a crotchet. So if we were in 3/4 time signature, all that means is 4 no longer exists and we're just counting to 3. The beat pattern of 3/4 is down, out, up, down, out, up, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So dotted minims last for a whole bar this time. So you articulate on beat number 1, you hold through beats number 2 and number 3, and then you articulate on beat number 1 again. So that's nice and easy. So nice and clear. If the piece of music was changing speed or getting faster or getting slower or being held musically in a nice phrase, then your note lengths, how long you actually hold it on for, do change. But if you're thinking about in terms of how many beats or how many of the conductors beats it lasts for, or where your next note lands, then it's really easy to play with a nice musical freedom and nice musical shaping. So if I do the same exercise holding dotted minims on for 3 beats, this time I'm going to change the tempo. I'll add the clicks in this time as well, and you can hear that I articulate on beat number 1 each time. The bars could be really long or really short, depending on how fast I'm deciding to go. As long as I articulate on the first beat of the bar, then I'm going to be playing my part perfectly in time. So here we go. So I hope this is making sense. We all know how long these notes last for. Crotchets 1 beats, minim 2 beats. But how that translates to what you actually do when you're playing and where it fits in with the conductor and where it fits in with your ensemble playing, I think that's the really important thing. Okay, some great exercises you can do. We're going to flick back to the 4/4 time signature. Is just playing all these rhythms sort of after each other. We're going to start off with some crotchets. Again, make sure you're articulating on every single one of the clicks. Then we're going to add in some minims. So again, articulating on beats number 1 and number 3. Then we're going to play some semi-breves, which are articulated on beat number 1 and held for the rest of the bar, and then re-articulated on beat number 1 again. So this time I'm actually going to use my metronome clicking down. I'm going to do 2 bars of each rhythm. So I'm going to do 2 bars of crotchets, 2 bars of minims, and then 2 bars of semi-breves, all nicely with the metronome click. One final thing before I play the exercise. If you've noticed, I've always took a breath in time as I've been demonstrating these rhythms. So if you know you need to start on beat number 1, then if we're in 4/4, you need to breathe 1 beat before you start playing. If I play on beat number 1, I need to breathe on beat number 4. So if I'm going 1, 2, 3, if I'm in 3/4, 1, 2, if I'm in 2/4, 1, 2, 1. If you're always breathing in time, that way you're going to start the note nicely in time. So here's my metronome. I've got it set quite slowly at 80 beats per minute. So here we go. And remember, 2 bars of crotchets, 2 bars of minims, and 2 bars of semi-breves. So when I was playing those rhythms, I was counting to 4 each time. I was thinking, when I was playing my crotchet, every time I say a number in my head, I'm articulating. When I'm playing my minims, I'm articulating on beats number 1 and number 3. And when I'm playing semi-breves, I'm articulating on beats number 1 and then holding it through the rest of the bar. So the last rhythm we're going to talk about today is the quaver rhythm. So quavers last for half a beat, I'm sure you all know that. But how we count them and where they fit in and how they relate in speed to the other rhythms is, again, really, really important. So quavers last for half a beat. They're exactly twice as fast as our crotchet notes. So our crotchets land on all the numbers. Our quavers, when we're counting them, we add an and exactly in between the numbers. So if my numbers are going 1, 2, 3, 4, my quavers are 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. They're exactly twice the speed as the crotchets, and notice they're completely evenly spread throughout the bar. So a lot of people, the mistake when they play quavers, they go da 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 da, and they just play two fast notes, and they sort of crush them in as fast as they can, and they're not evenly spread throughout the bar. So quavers, I'm going to put the metronome on again. I'm going to play a couple of bars of quavers. When I'm doing this, I'm counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So notice, completely evenly spread, and if you were counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, nice and easy, making sure all the numbers land exactly on the metronome clicks or exactly on the conductor's beats when they are conducting. So now it's time to be creative. You can write out your own little rhythms in the 4/4 time signature or any time signature that has a 4 at the bottom, and all this advice still applies. So you could have 7 beats in the bar, which a lot of people, if they see 7/4, they sort of panic. Everything is exactly the same in 7/4. The only difference is, instead of counting to 4, you're counting to 7. So I could play crotchets in 7/4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The only difference is the conductor's beats change. Some conductors do it in various different ways, but you'll notice that always the first beat of the bar is down, and then generally the second to last beat is out, and then the last beat is always up. So it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the ins and outs for all the rest of the beats of the bar could change depending on the piece you're playing, but always the first beat of the bar is down and the last beat is up, and then most of the time the second to last beat is out and up and down, and then what happens in between is generally quite a similar pattern, but it can change depending on the piece. So if I was going to play crotchets in 7/4, I would just be playing nice and easily, exactly the same as it was in 4/4. All I'm doing is counting to a different number of the beats in the bar. The quavers and the crotchets and the semi-breves and everything else, they stay exactly the same. So whatever beat of the bar you start that note on, if it's a semi-breve, if you started it in 7/4 on the third beat, you'd say tit on 3, hold it through 4, 5 and 6, and then your next note would be on the 7th beat. If you were playing in 7/4 and you had dotted minims, the first one would start on the first beat and you'd hold it 1, 2, 3, and then you'd articulate 4, 5, 6, and then the next note would land on the 7th beat of the bar. So that's nice and easy. Wherever your note starts, you hold it on for that number of beats, then your next note starts on the next number. So I hope this is all making sense. We all know how long these notes last for, but just changing the way you think about them, instead of thinking how long are they, think about when it starts and when it finishes, especially when we're talking about all these sort of rhythms that start on a beat and end on a beat. So as this rhythm series goes on, things are going to get more and more complicated when things don't start on the beat, all syncopated rhythms, and added in semi-quaver rhythms and faster rhythms. But for the time being, if you can get these basic rhythms that start on the beat exactly right, so your crotchets, minims, dotted minims, semi-breves and quavers, so if you can have those 5 rhythms really rock solid, and you're happy playing those rhythms in various different time signatures, whether it be 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, or anything past that, when you go into your band rehearsal, you'll be able to follow the conductor really nicely, you'll be able to practice playing with your metronome really in sync as well, and breathing in the right place, making sure your articulation is nice and crisp as well. And also, if you need to breathe, not adding extra time into the bars, so you can finish the notes exactly where they need to be, so you can breathe, so your next note is always in the right place. So check out the metronome video if you've not already seen that. Stay tuned for all the rest of the videos in this rhythm series. Like I said at the beginning of the video, rhythm is number one when you're talking about music. If you're playing out of time, then you'll find it really difficult to fit your part in with the rest of your band or ensemble, or if you're playing a solo, trying to fit your part in with your piano player, if your rhythm is not rock solid, then it's going to be really, really tricky. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon.